So I think I know why in Juneau, Alaska, the gangsters from L.A. they they don't retaliate on snitches, and they don't even condone retaliating on snitches because like it was very vague, and they never clearly explain why this is the case, right? But people's mothers would snitch on gangbangers. People's mothers would turn state's evidence. It doesn't matter whether your son is a gang member or not, and they have a code or not. And it's too it's too much of a problem that gangsters would show up in your mom's house on the front door. They would put the gun in her face. That there is no dignifiable way to be a man. It's like there's no dignified way to be a family member and be a gangster anymore. So it's some of the big gangsters that are also trying to be family men at the same time. They just laid down a different rule. In Alaska, they have lots of guns, right? Like it's very gun loose because you need a gun more in Alaska. So that, and then they're already have the diaspora from Los Angeles. So I mean, there's really no really alternative. Like it's like it had to be, because like they typically gangsters don't have ill relations with police, then they had to pay the police in the first place. It just goes without saying. But as an alternative, I guess, when something happens that kind of throws that meaning off, something like that, because could take place because there's a signal to let the it's a signal to let on to just you basically signal to the world that you're ready to go into captivity. And I'll explain. Okay, so Bobby Hemmett, right? He said there was a warrior, and he used to hunt quail with a bow and arrow. So he met another warrior that came from a distant land, right? The pale-faced man, right? And he was like, yo, here you go, try this on. And he was like, what's that? And he was like, it's a musket, right? So they started shooting quails with the musket, and he was like, damn, this is killing him. Like, this is killing it. Like, I don't have to use as many arrows. Like, it's like whatever. I don't know, whatever reason it was a better. That's not the point, but the point is that it was better, right? So then he's not going to get rid of his bow and arrow because it's part of ceremonial and it has a look and everything. Like, it's still part of it's still him. It's still his culture, right? So he takes the quail, right? Then he puts it on the table at his house and leaves and comes back and finds them missing. Then he draws an arrow and lets it fly. And he's like, let that arrow come down and hit the thief that stole the quail. And so it hit his mother because she was out gathering spices or something to cook the bird or something, right? And that became the signal, the signal for a people being ready to go into captivity, like a people being the gangsters, right? Because the gangsters don't any longer pay the police or own the police. We hate them now. So it's just a wash over us that we would be able to escape this signal to let be known that we are, yes, ready to go into captivity. We got to start paying the cops again, and we got to start being like, I don't know, rewarding the hobo that is nice and tidy and cleaning up the neighborhood and making the church and everything look good, even if you're not Christian, and stuff like that. Stuff. I don't know if that's possible anymore. If you live in Philadelphia and you clean up all the trash and you're just going to fucking one gust of wind and it'll all be right back. But, maybe that's just not a thing because there's just too much. I mean, the majority of our sleepers, right? Only like a small minority, a very small minority fraction of the population is really a light for their people. Then the remainder is just out there just looking for a mark. And it's just what's it called? That's the psychopathy of the area or whatever. It could be measured, like it's a ratio and shit. There's this much psychopathy in your district. Oh, really? 12%. Oh, that's terrible. There's only 5% or 2% or whatever percent that is actually showing people, offering people a outlet for their destructive energy. That's a creative outlet for destructive energy, offering some kind of upward mobility or something. Maybe they have a message with upward mobility in it. Yeah. And apparently you can even be a hooker or be on crack, and you can have information that is good information for you. It was like God sent, or what I'm saying, heaven sent. Then it's just like, because we have these established these disassociations with certain feelings that goes with the proper color in the spectrum, and that's trauma or something. It's like colors represent different qualities, and we associate colors with certain feelings. Then colors are feelings. There's reverberation, and when you're post-traumatic stress, you have them mischaracterized, and or I don't know what the word is. Yeah. So they used to treat post-traumatic stress with color wheels and mirrors. The patient would be positioned in front of a mirror, and the goal was to get his reflection to question question the patient who's looking at himself in the mirror. And they would spin these color wheels and have them look at the color wheels for a certain amount of time until, I guess, and then back at the mirror. And they would be changing the color wheels for them to try to get them into a state of volantia where they could swear that their reflection is like they looked at them to question, like looked into them. Until your reflection looks into you, such as you are the person who is trying to get to the bottom of the disconnect in the patient. Like the doctors, they're facilitating it. So it is considered the noble arts in a practice, right? And it's a practice called the color wheels, right? And because then it's the reason it's the noble arts is because if you want to remain noble, then you have to put together the people that fight the wars and get the post-traumatic stress. You have to put them back together. You used to have to put them back together to remain noble. That's what they did. It was the noble arts. was fucking related to curing post-traumatic stress. The only other way to actually exist even more than that would be to break the ACA baby out of the ACA baby stare. But the ACA baby is not necessarily the baby, it's you, you know? Like you're the adult child of addiction. And it happens that they have a dissociation where they have to stare far off away to disconnect from the trauma. And then, you see, like, okay, that's all for now.